Welcome to The Intuitive Therapist with Janice R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janice will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janice R. Cohen.
Hey, y'all. This is Janice Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist podcast. I am excited today. I told y'all I'm going to have some really interesting and exciting guests on my show, and today is no exception. My dear, dear friend, Rebecca Kirson, is on the show today, and I cannot wait for you to hear what she has to share with you today. Her knowledge is deep. One of the brightest people I know and one of the coolest cats I know. So y'all got to listen till the end. So let me ask you listeners, if I took a poll that might include you, and I asked you and a bunch of other people if they felt that they were living in the totality of who they are, really living in the full expression of who they are, I'm going to go out on a limb here and bet that at least 90% of the people that I asked would say no. And I will tell you, I don't even think I'm living in the totality of who I am. I'm working on expressing more of who I am, being more vulnerable, sharing with you, doing different things that really tap into the awesome person that I am. And I hope y'all are trying to do that too. But I think in all honesty, excuse me, it's an unfortunate percentage that I've estimated here when I talk about like 90% of people really aren't living a fully expressed life. I've been doing this work for 27 years as a therapist, and I can truly say that the vast majority of people really don't feel that they're truly fulfilled in life and feel like they're free and really connecting with all amazing aspects of themselves. And if this applies to you, then today's podcast is really going to help you. If you want to connect more fully to yourself and embody more aspects of your divinity to feel alive and connected, then you're going to want to listen to this episode until the end, because Rebecca has all sorts of nuggets. She always gives me the best insight, and it's just amazing what she's able to do and how she's able to connect with spirits and guides and all sorts of entities. So she's going to talk about what it looks like to connect with all aspects of your divinity, how you can get there to have feeling of really full existence and the full expression of yourself. But before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about amazing Rebecca Kirson. Rebecca is an intuitive who works with the Akashic Records, and she's going to explain what those are if you don't know. Very, very cool way to work. She provides clarity and direction to assist others with feeling fully alive and deeply connected so they can create a life that truly matters. Rebecca has an executive MBA plus a background in psychology, human development, and family studies. And we're going to give you this information again at the end, but you can learn more about her at www.yoursacredtruth.com. Welcome, Rebecca. So happy to have you. How are you?
I'm good, Janice. Super excited to be here with you.
I know. We've been talking about this for a long time. Finally, I got you on, and I can't wait to share with the listeners your expertise. But do me a favor, just walk us through what Akashic Records are and kind of how you use that in your work. And then we're going to get into the meat of today's show.
Sure. So the Akashic Records are that living field of intelligence that surrounds all of us. And it's also referred to as the Book of Life. It's found in folklore, myths, throughout the Old and New Testaments. And it's actually traceable back to the Semitic people, the Hebrews, the Babylonians, the Arabs, the Syrians. They all had this belief that there was in existence a celestial tablet that contains the history of mankind and all spiritual information. So the Akasha surrounds everything. It's that field of energy that is capturing and storing our thoughts, our emotions, our intentions, really looking at cause and effect, choice and consequence for every lifetime ever lived. So it is a repository of information about who you are at soul level, Janice. And
Wow.
it's storing all information, much like Facebook tracking all of our data. The Akasha also
Right.
is really recording all of this beautiful information about how we are creating, how we're creating our lives.
That's amazing. I remember I did a reading for someone one time, and I felt like I was traveling down a staircase into this room, into this library, and and I was able to access her records. I'd never done that before, but apparently that's what I did, and it was the coolest thing to really go back in time and to really look at. I know you and I have talked about soul lessons and relationships and just truly the true essence of what we're here to accomplish, and what our definition of who we are in terms of expression, how we express ourselves. Listeners, when I tell you, if you can get an Akashic Records reading, especially by Rebecca, you will like really freak out, because it is the coolest thing, and it makes so much sense with how you're living your life, the patterns that show up, the things that you're trying to accomplish. It's truly one of the best readings I've ever had, and she does a great job of accessing that. So like I said, I'm so happy you're here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you. Tell me and the listeners a little bit about what else you do professionally. How did you get started with all of this deep records work and spiritual work?
Yeah, it's funny because, as a little girl, I didn't sit around and say, I want to be an Akashic Record practitioner when I grow up. Like a lot of people, I was living my life more from my ego and what I had been taught to create. Go to college, get a degree, get married, find a job, make money, all of those things. But my higher self and, my spiritual path had a greater plan for me. So in my late 20s, I had a lot of things start to crumble around me. It's as Joseph Campbell calls, I was on the heroine's journey. I just didn't know it. So I had a lot of things happen to me to where the physical structures I had created started to crumble. They started to be taken away. And that presented me with a crisis of meaning. And so during that, into my early 30s, I had just some significant events happen. I lost a child. I had to close a business. I stepped out of a marriage that I was in. And it was on a trip to California where I was presented with some messages from my daughter who had passed and a couple of my uncles. And I knew nothing about spirituality, metaphysics. I came more from the business background, corporate, small business.
Right.
And I didn't know there was this gigantic world of other realms and energy and, what's beyond the physical. I didn't know anything about that. So it really broke open this whole new world for me. And I was basically pinged by those on the other side about how I needed to get my act together and I needed to live in alignment with my purpose, and I wasn't doing that. And it really startled me from a perspective of, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Like I just didn't have the awareness. And I took it very seriously. So once I got back to Atlanta, I was able to manifest a layoff from a corporate job I had that I hated. And I then took the next year off to really go deeper and find my purpose.
Wow.
And that's when I was led to the Akashic Records, which again, I knew nothing about. And
so
from there, it was history.
Were you just, all of a sudden you started to receive guidance like you'd never done before, but all of a sudden you you would get these real clear messages to go in this direction?
I think intuitively, I've always been really intuitive. I just, as you know, am more of a head person. And that was a survival mechanism for me when I was younger, to escape criticism and judgment.
Right.
So I always have been intuitive. I've always been led in very strong ways. I just didn't know what to call it. And I didn't necessarily know anything about the journey that we're on and how life is always supporting us. Like, I didn't have the big picture like a lot of people.
Right.
And when we don't have that awareness, we don't have languaging for it.
Yep.
We don't know what's happening to us. It's like, oh, it's bad luck. I'm being a victim. Look at all these things that are happening to me. And it was stepping me out of the personal relationship that I had and looking at it from an impersonal view of, these are the things that your soul set up for you ahead of time that are going to really support you and guide you into doing the work that you're here to do.
Right.
And I didn't know all of that. So yes, I was led, and I was a very good student and took it seriously and did the things that I needed to do. But once I had that experience, yes, it became very strong, being led. Okay, you're going to do this, and taking on those quote unquote job assignments that we have for our mission. Again, as Joseph Campbell talks about, to really do our work that we're here to do and to follow that heart path.
Right.
But when I was in the middle of it, I didn't know what was happening. It's only through the look back period that I could kind of piece it all together.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so true. I can tell you, even though now, when things happen, it's sometimes it's hard because you get caught up in exactly what's happening and you don't know the wisdom in it, and it hurts or it's confusing and you feel lost. And it really is in hindsight that you're like, oh, that's why that happened. And now I get it. There's a grander plan. And what's interesting, you talked about, when that your soul has a plan. And I try to teach people, and I don't know how many people are aware, but I really try to emphasize this. Of course, just sharing my own belief that the soul does have a plan before you incarnate. And when you incarnate, you specifically pick that body and that family and all of those experiences and friends, because everything is related. There's not a moment in time that what happens to you isn't supposed to happen. It's very difficult, I think, for a lot of people to explain or to really be okay with that in terms of losing somebody they love. I mean, that to me is one of the hardest things to wrap around, as something that's supposed to happen or good for you. But outside of that, I mean, without a doubt, we all really do have a plan, and each of us has soul lessons that we're supposed to learn. And so I love that you're able to access the Akashic records. It's just really, really amazing. And talking today about living the fully expressed life, like I said before, I guarantee you most people truly know that they're not living in the full expression. I know, I'll just speak for me, and I do a lot of sharing about me because I feel like if I didn't share about me, here I am just talking shit to people about stuff, and I'm not being real. And so I believe in being real. I mean, you know that, the listeners who've heard me talk, that is my one of my main intentions is to be real. And so I know that in many, many times, and for years and years and years, I have not been able to live, and not chosen to live out of fear, really, to live my full expression. And that's a lesson of mine, is to really step into the spotlight. And it's so funny because I love the spotlight, but sometimes I can feel intimidated. But the moment I'm there, it's like, boom, I'm in my zone. And that's why I'm so excited for you to talk about this, is because how do we do that? How do we live in the full expression? What can we do to move beyond the obstacles and the resistance that we believe we have? And I'm just going to let you take it from there, just to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. But if you have a moment to speak on that.
Definitely. I would say that most people don't know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very anchored into "to thine own self be true."
Right.
That's actually always been with me on my journey,
Mm-hmm.
even before I really knew what that was about. And I've gone deeper with that. But mostly we don't know ourselves. And as Lao Tzu says, he who knows others is wise, but he who knows himself is enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I use the Akashic Records as a tool, and there are many tools out there that I love, astrology, numerology, other
Right.
things, is because it gives you direct access to knowing who you are at soul level. So how can I be fully expressed if I don't know what full expression looks like for me
Right.
in my uniqueness?
Mm.
So the records immediately allows me as an intuitive, as a coach, as a teacher, to dial in on a person's blueprint very quickly so that I can connect them into the essence that they are, their purpose, what they're here to go deeper with. And I'll share what my expression looks like through the lens of the Akashic Records. My soul's purpose is love and healing.
Mm-hmm.
That's me being a healer, and it's not something that I have to go do as a living, but I do. But it's really to help people reclaim pieces of themselves that they've disowned. It's to really step them into seeing that they are whole, even if they feel like they're broken. And another aspect of my purpose is divine self-expression. That's the written and spoken word. It's being the spiritual teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It's really inspiring others to shift their thoughts and beliefs because I'm introducing a new way of looking at life for them.
Right.
So I know those two energies are very much who I am. So as I'm creating my life, all the different areas of my life, relationships, business, health, friendships, community, I know I'm anchoring into those energies and I'm embodying them in a way that allows others to see me, connect with me, and engage with me through that lens.
Wow.
So that's what full expression looks like for me. And we all have different energies that we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
But if I didn't know that, I would be drifting, I would be grasping at straws, I would be saying, oh, let me imagine what my expression might be. So it really just kind of hones in pretty quickly. And then also full expression is about what lights you up, what brings you joy.
Right.
I know for me, I love animals. I live in the North Georgia mountains. I'm surrounded by nature. Okay. One of the archetypes that I work with in terms of my sacred contracts, and this is another thing I can access in the Akashic Records, is the nature child. I have always had the archetype of the nature child working with me. For me to be fully expressed, I need to be connecting in with nature. It's just a must. So there's all these different aspects, again, clues to our divinity, clues to the heart path for us and what it means to be fully expressed. And that's what I love about the Akashic Records is because we don't have to guess. We have all of this information that we can access.
Wow.
And have at our fingertips so that we can go deeper with knowing what full expression looks like. Also in the Akashic Records with my sacred contracts, I have in the house of my occupation, what I'm here to do for a living is the shamanic work. And that's what I do in the records. I'm clearing people of limiting karmic patterns that they've been carrying with them lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So when I get to step into that role for people, it really lights me up. I love it.
I could tell. I could tell.
I would do this work. Yeah, I would do this work whether I got paid for it or not. I mean, it's such an aspect of who I am and the work I'm here to do. So all of us have a different expression, but I would say first and foremost, as Buddha has said, your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. So really getting clarity on what am I here to do from the perspective of my soul, not from my human perspective, but from my soul perspective, because that's where full expression lies.
Right. That's amazing. And I wish more people could get in touch with that concept of what am I here to do? What is my soul here to do? Instead of that third dimensional human body existence of, working hard and not being able to enjoy life. So I'm curious. I know when we went out to lunch the other day, we were talking about work. We both absolutely love what we do. Um, tell me about some of the unique results you've been able to help your clients achieve with the work that you do with the Akashic Records.
Yeah, definitely. So people have been able to, first and foremost, really anchor into what I see as the three pillars, right? Strong core, soft heart, open mind. And really anchor into that strong core of who they are. And from that level of confidence and clarity, create amazing things in their lives, better relationship, improved health, more access to that vital force energy, that expression that's inside of us. So it's almost like a person who's been living their life in black and white, being able to really shift into technicolor. And that was also the experience I had from doing the work, which is why I've committed myself to sharing that with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So they found, as they've changed, as they've shifted, releasing the desire and need to change other people, especially in relationship and partnership, but seeing that their spouses, their children, their family, the community shifted in terms of how they responded to them when they did the work on themselves. So that's one of the biggest things. And then also being able to create more financial abundance for themselves. Because a lot of times we bring in karmic patterns around lack, disempowerment, limitation, really being able to release that. Having more of that access to energy. A lot of us feel like we have, I know this was true for me too, we're walking around in life, we're making it harder than it has to be, and it's almost like we have concrete blocks strapped to our feet.
Right.
And we're like, oh, the level of density, I don't want to be here. I have to walk up this gigantic mountain with this concrete block strapped to my feet. So the clearing work releases that, and it creates a lightness of being. And so many of my clients have reported that, and I experienced that for myself as well.
Right.
So yeah, there are a lot of different ways that it shifts for people, and really connecting them into their purpose so that they can move out into the world to do their work.
That's fantastic. I love the lightness of being. And I can tell you, I was talking with a client yesterday, and I was sharing with her, I know when I am not connected to source, it's when I feel unhappy or sad or lost or confused or whatever. And I have days like that where I'm just unplugged. And then when I'm able to kind of get back into a vibration of connection with spirit, everything changes. My mood changes, my interactions change, everything around me changes, opportunities come, and I'm able to access higher realms of things. And that's a lot of what you're talking about too, to be able to clear out the path, clear the weeds, so that people have a more crystallized view of who they are and what they can do to maximize their life. And that is just, I think everybody's searching for that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, is to let people know there's a way to do that. There are a lot of ways, but Akashic record readings are just, without a doubt, just terribly important to do, and really crazy cool. So just lastly, I just wanted to ask you, like, if there was one important thing, like one most important thing that you want listeners to know about why it would be important for them to seek your services, why would having an Akashic Records reading or doing Akashic Records work, why is that important?
Because no one hands us a guidebook or a manual on how to live our life. And we stumble through life and have challenges and obstacles. And granted, this experience is spiritual weightlifting. It's not meant to necessarily be an easy ride, okay? We're here to learn
That's
about
for sure.
to
It is
grow and
definitely not an
expand,
easy ride. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to make that harder than it needs to be, because there are guidebooks, there are blueprints, there is a map that you can use that's specifically connected to your soul that will make this experience fun, light you up, plug you in, and have you do those things that I'm really committed to, feeling fully alive, deeply connected, so that you can create a life that truly matters.
That's awesome.
For me, I can't even imagine another way of existing in this world, but to be plugged in and to be doing my work and creating my legacy and really being connected into that spiritual mission, to grow and expand and to be connecting in with others and going deeper with the real reason that why we're here. So we have access to that.
That's fantastic. I mean, I think for a lot of listeners, there's got to be a sense of relief, maybe even disbelief, but relief for many when they say, oh my God, really? There's a book that I can follow, or there's an outline, like I'm actually going to kind of know what I'm supposed to be doing. And listeners, yes, it's so cool. Let me ask you, I know I introduced your website, yoursacredtruth.com. How else can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. My phone number is 678-521-7178. My email address is Rebecca, REBECCA, at yoursacredtruth.com. And then, as you said with the website, www.yoursacredtruth.com. So those are the easiest ways to reach out.
Fantastic. So let me ask you, any parting words before we go on to this other part that I'm going to do?
Yes. I want to share a favorite quote of mine from Bruce Lee, because a lot of times, and Janice, you've busted me for this, we say, oh, I know. When someone's giving us information, I know, especially when we go to intuitives. And as I say to my coaching clients and people I give readings for, to know and to not do is to not know. So if you think you know things, but you're not actually doing it or implementing it in your life, then you don't really know at that heart level, at that soul level. And so start to take action with it, because intuitive information that's not grounded, that we don't really do anything with, is not going to create the level of transformation that we want in our life.
Right.
So that's what I leave you with.
Yeah, no question. Taking action in your life is really the only way to change your life. And, I've done podcasts on resistance and fear and all of that. And we have to account for the fact that you can be scared to take action because we don't know, A, if we'll be able to handle the outcome, or B, what the outcome will be. So without a doubt, even the smallest action can open the vortex for you to create the life you love. So that's fantastic. Okay, so here's the piece that I wanted to do, and I love this. It's from the Inside the Actor's Studio. James Lipton asked these questions of every guest he has, all these famous actors. So we asked these 10 questions I'm going to ask you, and then I'll close the episode. So just off the top of your head, answer these questions. What's your favorite word?
Love.
What's your least favorite word?
Hate.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Being connected to nature and my husband.
What turns you off?
Conflict, disagreement, and ignorance.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What sound or noise do you love?
The sound of grass being cut.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Sirens when I'm in the city.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Being an attorney.
What profession would you not like to do?
Being a plumber.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You really knocked it out of the park, kid.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if for any of you who are interested in finding out more about Rebecca's work, getting an Akashic Records reading, and she offers a number of other readings too, or even getting coaching from her, reach out, look at her website. She's just really, truly a special person to me, but a really an amazing human being, and here to really support people uh, to ascend and be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And as always, I say, if y'all are interested in having readings around love, money, relationships, health, business, anything, reach out to me at 404-558-3971. You can email me at janice@janicrcohen.com. I hope that you're enjoying these guest appearances. Certainly, I'm going to introduce some other stuff on my own, but hop on over to iTunes at the Intuitive Therapist podcast and just do a rating and review for me. The more people that I get to hear what I have to say, perhaps the more people I can help. And look, I hope you have a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist with Janice R. Cohen. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend and subscribe, rate, and review at iTunes.